A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to today's edition of the Evening Review. My name is Tevan Jabala, your host. Let's look at Friday's headlines in Namibian Sun. Government pushes for genocide deal buy-in. That is what is being reported, that there is a push for government to get a buy-in from that 18 billion offer from Germany. Prisoners in battle for freedom. Again, the details of that story is in Friday's edition of Namibian Sun. And lastly, Retribute Stitera rejects pyramid scheme tag. That is a company that was, or a scheme that was closed down by the Bank of Namibia because it is suspected to be a pyramid scheme, and they are refusing that that is who they are. Tonight on the show, we are joined by Ben Siyambango. He is a coordinator for the movement for the survival of the river races. He is here to talk about demarcations around what we call today the Zambezi region. Uncle Ben, thank you for your time. We appreciate your time.
Pleasure.
Wonderful. Just for our viewers, what is the movement for the survival of the river races, and what does it intend to attain?
We intend, first of all, to inform the people about the history of what we call, what used to be called the additional strip of Southwest Africa, which was given to Germany in order to allow Germany to have access to the Zambezi River. This was in accordance with the agreement, the Anglo-German Treaty of 1st July 1890. That strip became a sphere of influence for Germany, but it was never part of the former German colony. It was just a passage for the Germans to access the Zambezi River because the Germans wanted a shorter route to their territory in East Africa, formerly known as Tanganyika. Unfortunately, they were not aware that there was a major cataract on the Zambezi River. They thought they could just put on a boat and go up to Mozambique. But the Victoria Falls, which later became the Victoria Falls, could not allow either a boat or a canoe to pass through there. That strip was given to them by Great Britain in order for them to use as a route. But that strip was part of a country formerly known as 1, Sebitwane country, 2, Makololo country, 3, Sikeleto country. And then later, around 1849, the country became Zambesia. And that country included both Matebeleland, former Matebeleland, Mashonaland, and Manyikaland. They were all put together. On the west, it was a kingdom called Sebitwane country. On the east, it was Matebeleland. So, save for the fact that the British had declared that country as their sphere of influence. A sphere of influence was to inform other nations not to interfere. But the British had no jurisdictions in Zambesia because it was not a protectorate. here, there was a German protectorate of Southwest Africa, which was declared on the 15th of November 1884, following a chap from Germany who bought a place called Ludris. They used to call it Angra Pequena. That's Ludris.
Yes.
And that, the Germans had asked the English people to take care of it, but the English people failed to do that. That's why Otto von Bismarck, the former Chancellor of Germany, annexed the whole coast from Ludris up to the Kunene River. He annexed that because he wanted whatever. But then later, he complained, saying, look, the land from Angra Pequena or Ludris is barren. It's just sand. There's nothing else. The English then agreed that he can move his boundary to the 20th degree east of longitude. And that became the colonial boundary of German Protectorate of Southwest Africa.
Yeah.
And that was also ratified at the Berlin Conference of 1884-1885. Here are my books here. I wish people can see them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but let me hold you there. I think the context is very, very clear. And thank you for that, Mr. Siyambango. So, your movement is trying to achieve what then against that background?
What we are trying to achieve is to resuscitate or restitution for our country, because it was never colonized by any European power. It was just a sphere of influence. The Caprivi Strip was just a German sphere of influence. A sphere of influence is like a place you go to play football and you come out. It's not yours. Yes. You know, so ours, we are trying to revive that country. Yes. So
that would mean what in practical terms? It would mean that Botswana, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and maybe other countries within that area must cede parts of what is now.
Yes, that's exactly what we want. We want Namibia to cede the Caprivi Strip. We want Botswana to cede the territory from the 22 degrees south latitude up to the Zambezi River. We want Southern Rhodesia, which is Zimbabwe, to cede the territory from the, from the Gwai River up to whatever. We want Zambia to cede the territory, which is on the southern part of the Zambezi River. Zambia was northern Rhodesia. It was never supposed to have a piece of land south of the Zambezi River. You see? So these are the true and the genuine colonial boundaries. The colonial boundary for Southwest Africa, which is which is now Namibia, is the 20th degree east of longitude. From there, that is the colonial boundary. And then the colonial boundary of Botswana or Bechuanaland Protectorate was the 22 degrees south latitude. So from there, all we are looking for ourselves is where are the instruments which extended, say for instance, Namibia up to the Zambezi River. We are looking for those legal instruments. If they can show them to us, then we say fine. It's a colonial era. Do you recognize, Mr. Siyambango, and you sound like a very, very knowledgeable man. So against that background, you and I know that this is the current boundaries, the state boundaries of all these countries that you are mentioning are not a result of the current administrations, the post-colonial administrations of those countries. I mean, in Namibia, for example, the country is exactly the way we inherited it from the colonizers, first the Germans and then South Africa. How do you intend that? What do you hope that can happen in regard to then having this rectification happen? The war of liberation in Africa was to rectify what our former colonial masters had done.
Yeah.
This country was ruled for 90 years by South Africa. In fact, South Africa wanted to treat this country as its 50th province or 60th province. But the people, our elders, our principals, they said, no, this is a country on its own.
Yeah.
So we are saying, if, for instance, the port of Walvis Bay,
Yeah.
which was only 30 kilometers
Yeah.
from from Swakopmund, was not part of this country. It took 4 years to negotiate for it.
Yes.
And there was even a Security Council resolution which made it possible for that to be made part of Namibia. So we are saying, if you are saying Caprivi Strip is part of this country, please show us the instruments.
Yeah.
Show us a Security Council resolution. Just show it to us.
Show it to us.
Yes.
So, so what is the benefit of going back to that original state and the original boundaries of what is now collectively will be known as Zambesia? What would be the advantage of that compared to how things are today?
The advantage of that is that, one, the people will be free to decide their own destiny.
Yeah.
Number two, they will be the drivers of their own destiny. Number three, they will take care of their culture, traditions, whatever. Like now, what's happening? We were talking about this chieftainship now.
Yeah.
The law now is the minister who designates who should be a chief. That is contrary to our culture and tradition. See, the chief in our culture is chosen by the royal family, and then the public is asked to participate in that system. That's not happening. Now, I'm a Musubia myself. The Subian language, we are a very old tribe in Central Africa. In fact, our chieftainship dates back to the 1400s. Say, that language is almost dying now. It's not written.
So, I mean, okay, no, I understand. I understand you correctly, Mr.
Yeah.
But before we go for a quick break, I just want again for you to help me understand. Because there's also an issue of precedent. That, for example, if your wish was to be granted, where I come from myself, my community is we are Mbadjas, and 30%, probably only 30% is in Namibia.
Yes.
About 70% of my people live on the other side.
Yes.
The Kwanyamas face the same challenge.
Same challenge.
So how do we, because once we see that your movement has succeeded, I will probably be inspired to do the same. And then the Kwanyamas, and then everybody else.
Yeah.
Where are we going to end?
No. We should not. Yes, there are precedents, that's for sure. You see, what we call Ovamboland today was not part of the German Protectorate of Southwest Africa. It was only included, if I'm not mistaken, 26th of July, 1926, after the First World War. But that was done by a legal instrument by the defunct League of Nations. But in the case of Caprivi, it wasn't done.
Yeah.
In the case of Northern Bechuanaland, it wasn't done. See, so we are saying, one, our people, for now, it's okay. But in future, people tend to pick up every little feather they can rely on. You see, if this is not addressed today, tomorrow it will be a problem.
tomorrow it will be a problem.
It will be a problem tomorrow.
We go for a quick break,
Exactly.
Mr. Siyambango, and then then. We continue our conversation with Mr. Ben Siyambango. Now, Uncle Ben, how much support does this idea have in the region? Because I know there's a lot of, I mean, for example, there's been a lot of questions around whether we should have a referendum and stuff like that. How much support or buy-in do you have for this idea?
To be quite honestly, it's difficult to ascertain. But what we know today is that there are people who are languishing in prison here.
Yes.
Who were accused, falsely accused of secessionism. There is no secessionism. Caprivi, or what you the so-called, and it's not only Caprivi. You see the boundary.
Yeah.
If you look at the map, the 20th degree of east longitude, that means most of the eastern Kavango to Caprivi was not part of this country. You see, so as we are today, the majority of the people may not be aware of the history. Some of them, even when you ask them, what was the former name of this country? They tell you, no, it was German Zambezi. They tell you it was German Barotsland. Yes, it was, but the original name, like in this book here, it is a Botswana country, Makololo country, whatever. Now, what has happened to that country? That's our wish.
That is your wish. To be practical also then, Uncle Ben, I mean, in history, did we have nations at the time that had a mix of languages? For example, Omasui then say that the Hereros are now a separate country on their own, the Namas are a separate country, the Bambus, and how are we going to have because again I'm talking about precedent, yes, that if that is granted, then the Hereros will say, no, we also want to be an autonomous nation. The Damaras say the same, my people say the same. Where are we going to end?
No, we are guided first by history, second by colonial boundaries. We respect and recognize the colonial boundaries. What we are saying is that please stick to your country with defined colonial boundaries. If you want us to be part of you, please speak to us. Otherwise, we will assume we are now being dominated, we are now being oppressed. You see, the Hereros, yes, they came from the east, but because they were here, they became part of Southwest Africa. That's why you have this genocide issue. We, from that side, we were never involved in that. See, it's not the issue we have to look at here is the basis is the colonial boundaries. What were the colonial boundaries? That's all.
But that is exactly why some people say, Uncle Ben, that even when people talk about this ancestral land issue right now, whether there should be compensations, whether it should be in the conversation, the question that gets asked is, how far back into history must we go to say, okay, Ben, you came here 100 years ago. We then start from 100 years ago going forward. But there were people before you.
That's true.
So where do you start?
No. Like in this case here, our history for Namibia should start 1884.
But there were people before.
There were people before that, yes. But you see, because if we don't respect the colonial boundaries, then we are in troubles. Because then each one is going to claim a piece of land for themselves.
Yeah.
You see? So that's why it's important that we recognize and respect the colonial boundaries.
Yeah.
Once we do that, then we're all covered. And I think that's why even the former OAU, 1963, they said, please respect the colonial boundaries that you took over from your colonial masters. Now look at this. Look at this. What was the colonial boundary for? Yeah, this one here. In recognition of the independence of Namibia, Act 34, 1990, to recognize the independence of Namibia and to provide for matters connected therewith. Whereas the Council of the League of Nations, 17th December 1920, conferred upon His Britannica Majesty for and on behalf of the government, of the national government of South Africa, to establish a mandate over the territory which formerly constituted the German Protectorate of Southwest Africa. The former German Protectorate of Southwest Africa is this one.
I hear you. No,
it's that one.
Yeah.
So now, if this is the case, if this is the case, if this is the former German Protectorate of Southwest Africa. So that is the country that was granted independence. The second one, there is this talk of saying, Honorable Muyongo and Honorable whatever, they signed a document with SWAPO. Here it is. It's hereby signed members of the Southwest Africa People's Organization, SWAPO, and the Caprivi African National Union do hereby declare that for the interests of our struggle, of our two peoples. This is the document. You see, this is the document now. If this document recognizes that there were two countries, we're not talking about one country. Why? All we are asking for, actually we who are asking, are being genuine and honest. Let's face this issue. Let's discuss this issue. Let's debate this issue.
Yeah. Fair point. Oh, just in all your campaigns or your activism around this issue, who is listening? Who are you talking to? Because I'm asking this question because I do not imagine the current independent states of Zambia, Namibia, Botswana, and everybody else entertaining this kind of conversation. I know that in such circumstances, a lot of campaigners will go to global bodies like the UN and whatnot. In your case, who's listening? Well,
first, we're a member of an organization called UNIPO, standing for Unrepresented Nations and Peoples Organization. So as far as Zambesia is concerned, it's not represented. Okay? Two, we have written to all the heads of states, including our own president here, informing him about this issue. It's not fair. You know, you have people sitting in jail here, accused of being secessionism, when there's absolutely no secessionism.
But there were people killed in that case.
That's a different case.
So when you go to a family of a family that lost their beloved one, and they are told that no, those guys did nothing wrong. What?
Yes, but Mr. Njembela, if one commits murder, that is murder. It's not secessionism. So let's classify that particular type of crime in the way it should be.
Mm.
You see? And look at the period it has taken. Up to this day, we are sitting here, people are still languishing in jail. Why?
Mm. But that is what I don't understand, Mr. Siyambango, because we have people, because for me it's the double standards that astounds me a little bit, because Mishake Muyongo, for example, he sat in parliament in Windhoek. He was vice president of SWAPO. Kanu, we do not know what transpired, but Kanu doesn't exist anymore. Geoffrey Milima, he was an MP in Windhoek. I mean, why don't you take a principled stance and say, look, we don't want anything to do with Namibia, but you come and serve here once you are pushed out of parliament, or you're not re-elected, suddenly we want to claim our own country elsewhere. I mean, how do we balance these things?
It's true. That's very true, and I agree with that, and I have respect for that. But we should not forget, let's talk about Honorable Muyongo. Honorable Muyongo was president of the opposition party in this country.
Yes.
So because of that, he was entitled to be in this parliament here. But by Mr. Muyongo being president or part does not warrant that area where he came from should be part of this. For instance, today I come to Honorable Toibo Njambera. I said, let's go hunting. He has got a village, I've got my own village. Let's go hunting. We go hunting.
Yeah.
After we've killed the elephant, that does not mean our two villages should be together, sir.
No, I hear you. I hear you. It's just, but in the case of Muyongo, Honorable Muyongo, is that he even put himself up for election as president of Namibia.
I know, but that's what, that only him can answer that. But for me, I feel that even all that does not alter history.
Yes.
All we are looking for is Botswana to say to us, listen, northern Botswana, the so-called northern Botswana, or the Chove district where I come from, okay, was part of Bechuanaland. Because independence, 1966, was granted to Bechuanaland Protectorate. That area where they are now was not part of Bechuanaland Protectorate. No.
Indeed. In the interest of time, I have one last question for you,
Yes.
Mr. Siyambango, and that is, how do we then, what is the way forward? What is the most practical way to deal with this matter? Because we also have to have regard for African unity, that if we start dividing communities now, we start claiming that where others are sitting belongs to the other person and they must maybe excuse them or whatever the modus operandi we choose in the end. How do we handle this issue? How do we address this question without invoking wars and civil strife and this kind of bloody confrontations?
It's true. In the case of Namibia, at independence, I think the government should have instituted a commission to inform the people that you people, although you are not part of us, but now that we've been fighting together, we would like you to be part of us. Okay? Will you approve this relationship? Because we are talking about a matter to eternity. We should not leave things to chance. Otherwise, opportunistic people, maybe like me, will come on the scene and say, but why is this happening? Why is it not like this? The same thing. Bechuanaland should have done the same. Because this is the map, as far as we are concerned, for Zambesia.
Yeah, so my viewers cannot see, so it's not
we,
much of
we you know,
but
we have lost all this.
Yeah.
We haven't got a place that used to be called Zambesia. Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay?
I hear you.
Now, this, if you check this, your viewers cannot see it.
Yeah.
But there,
Yeah. We can hold it. I'm sure we.
yeah, we can hold it, yeah.
Yeah.
There,
Yeah.
we can hold it.
So the red space is what?
The red space is Zambesia. This is the 20th degree east of longitude. It goes up to there.
Yeah.
The boundary between Zambia and Zambesia is the Zambezi River.
Yes.
The boundary between Zimbabwe or southern Rhodesia with Zambesia is the Gwai River. The boundary between former Bechuanaland Protectorate, which is Botswana today, is the 22 degrees south latitude.
How do we resolve it? Briefly.
How do we resolve it?
Do we call a
Sometimes-
referendum or what do we do?
We can go for referendum, yes. It's one of them.
Okay.
But first and foremost, I think we need to be open about it. Let's talk about it. That's the purpose of this interview today. Let us talk about it publicly. Let's have a debate. We can even choose a commission to investigate this matter. You see, because some of us, obviously, we've been to school.
Yes.
That's how we can bring up this.
Yes.
You see, for instance, Botswana is claiming that...
The time is not enough.
Oh,
now.
shame.
Yeah.
The Botswana is claiming that British order in council of 30th June extended the protectorate to the Caprivi, which is not true.
Yeah, yeah. I hear you. I hear you, Mr.
This is
Smith.
not true. And you see, we cannot... Some people have even said Caprivi became part of this country because of the Anglo-German treaty. It's not true. Everything you check, you find is not true.
Uncle Ben, I appreciate your time.
Thank you very
I
much.
think we should have this conversation again very soon.
Yes.
But, because of time today, we end it
Yeah.
here. And so thank you very much for coming to
Thank you
studio.
very much. I
Wonderful.
appreciate.
Yeah,
I
that is,
appreciate for the opportunity.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is tonight's show. Thank you for watching and good night.
Thank you.